Can you identify the potential hazards in this scene? They're pretty minimal. But when you add in just one variable, the potential hazards compound tenfold. Scaffolding has been used since man first began building. It comes in many types, sizes, and configurations. Scaffolds are an extremely valuable and common tool. Yet, if their potential hazards are not understood and respected, accidents and injuries can occur. In this program, Scaffolding Safety, Safe Work Practices, we will discuss the potential hazards associated with scaffolds, including electrical, falls and falling objects, load capacity, and safe work practices you can follow to ensure your safety. Anytime you elevate the work surface, you increase the potential of someone falling or being struck by a falling object. When you add in the temporary nature of a scaffold and the environment it is used, the potential hazards increase. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, nearly 10,000 workers are injured annually in scaffold-related incidents. 9% of all construction fatalities involve scaffolds. 72% of all injuries are attributed to being struck by a falling object, slipping, or the planking giving way. As a person who works on scaffolding, it is your responsibility to be familiar with the function and limitations of the scaffold equipment you use. It is also important you understand and respect the potential hazards and follow proper procedures and safe work practices to ensure your safety. A number of scaffold workers are electrocuted each year. A minimum safe approach distance of 10 feet must be maintained at all times between the scaffold and energized power lines. The 10-foot safe approach distance also includes any conductive materials used on the scaffold. If work must be performed within the safe approach distance, contact the proper utility company first to either de-energize or move the lines. At a height of 12 feet, a 180-pound worker will take less than 1 second to reach the ground. At the point of impact, that person will be traveling at approximately 20 miles per hour and will hit with a force of 3,600 pounds. Engineering controls are the first option for fall protection on scaffolds. Guardrails of at least 38 inches high on all open sides of the scaffold are the primary form of fall protection. When platforms are less than 18 inches wide, guardrails are less than 36 inches, or single or two-point suspension scaffolds are used, then the personal fall arrest systems must be used beginning at a height of 10 feet. A personal fall arrest system consists of three main components: a full body harness, a lanyard, and an anchor point. Inspect the body harness and lanyard each time before use. Look for wear, tears, deterioration, and other signs of defectiveness that could affect the effectiveness of the system. Personal fall arrest systems must limit free fall to 6 feet or less. The key is the selection of a proper anchor point. An anchor point must be able to support 5,000 pounds per attached worker. Standpipes, vents, drain pipes, and electrical conduits on buildings are usually not considered proper anchor points. If structural members of the scaffold are used as anchor points, the scaffold must be tied or have independent support lines. Falls can also be prevented through safe work practices. Never use a ladder, boxes, or any other means of elevating your height on a scaffold. Maintain complete concentration at all times. Maintain both feet on the platform surface and never extend your body over the edge of the platform or guardrail. Good housekeeping practices can also prevent slips and falls from scaffolds. Keep all walkways and working surfaces clear of tools and debris. Do not perform any work on scaffolds covered with snow, ice, or other slippery material until it has been removed. You do not have to be on a scaffold to be struck by a falling object. Hard hats should be worn by all individuals working on or around scaffolds. Barricades, posted warnings, and other means should be used to keep unauthorized personnel out of the area. Toe boards of at least 1.5 inches must be installed on all open sides of the platform. If tools or other items next to the edge are stacked higher than the toe board, then mesh, debris nets, canopies, or other sufficient means of protection must be installed. Additional measures you can take to eliminate the possibility of a worker being struck by a falling object includes keeping the platform clean. Store materials away from the edge. Never throw or drop items from the scaffold. Use a hoist, lift, or tow line to raise and lower material. Be aware of where you are walking on the platform. Avoid kicking or knocking material off. Many injuries occur when workers get on and off the scaffold or move from one platform to another. Always use the proper ladder or stairs. Do not climb the cross braces or jump from one platform to another. Jumping increases the risk of injury and creates unnecessary force on the planks. When access to the scaffold or one platform to another is greater than 2 feet, a ladder or stairs must be provided. When climbing a ladder, always maintain 3 points of contact. Never lean a ladder against the scaffold. It may affect the stability of the scaffold. As mentioned earlier, you should be familiar with the function and limitations of the scaffold you work on. This includes the structural requirements and load capacity of the scaffold. Your safety is dependent on the stability of the scaffold. Maintain an awareness of the structural components of the scaffold at all times. If you notice any structural damage, settling, or movement of the scaffold, damaged planks, missing ties, or anything else that affects the integrity of the scaffold, report it to your supervisor. Do not make alterations or move the scaffold without approval and under the direction of a competent person. A scaffold is required to support its own weight and 4 times the maximum intended load. The load capacity of a scaffold system varies with its design and application. Never overload the scaffold or a single platform of the scaffold. To prevent deflection of the planks, evenly displace the loads. Where point loading is necessary, it should be directed over verticals or horizontal supports. If you have questions concerning the capacity of the scaffold, check with a competent person. In addition to load capacity and falling objects, another consideration with material handling is actual contact with the scaffold. Use tag lines when the possibility exists for a load to swing and hit the scaffold. Operators should also make sure their equipment does not strike the scaffold. Environmental conditions such as wind, lightning, and precipitation can affect your safety on a scaffold. Work should be suspended and all workers should get off the scaffold in high winds and lightning storms. Extra precaution is required on wet, slippery surfaces. Mud can also cause additional hazards and should be cleaned off. Working on scaffolds requires your full concentration and senses. Fooling around can result in serious injury. Never attempt to work on a scaffold under the influence of alcohol or medication that could affect your sense of balance. The key to ensuring your safety on scaffolds is understanding and respecting the potential hazards and following safe work practices. Understand the capabilities and limitations for the scaffolds you use, including load capacity. Be aware of any potential damage or defects to the scaffold during use. Always maintain the minimum safe approach distance to power lines. If you must work near power lines, have them de-energized or moved. Know how and when to properly use personal fall arrest systems. Inspect the equipment before each use. Utilize engineering controls, good housekeeping procedures, and safe work practices to eliminate the potential hazard of falling objects. By following the safe work practices and techniques presented in this program, you can ensure your safety against the potential hazards associated with scaffolds.